Hello and welcome back to Creative Lens. I'm your host, Uncle Dice, episode 5. And today's guest, once again, someone I met in the streets. Welcome everybody to Josh. Josh, welcome.
What's up, Rick? Thank you for the introduction. Good to be here. Good to be vibing.
I think I didn't do justice to your intro. I just feel like I should have given you the drums and everything.
We have the whole thing, bro. You have a little deck where you just press all the buttons and different sounds happen.
Oh wow, yes,
like horns and shit. Like
we definitely have to do that. Wow, thank you for being here, Josh.
Of course.
It's been a minute. So I guess maybe before we even start, Josh, I guess you're wondering why you're here. So
slightly.
Yeah, look, it's a lot. But over the past few months, Josh, we've been in chat via a group, but we'll talk about that a bit later. But for me, over the past few months, it was all about how do we as a city within Cape Town, how do we tell our stories differently? And this really happened overnight where I had this idea for a podcast, and one day it was just like, no, man, I know enough cool people doing enough cool things with the city. So let me just talk to everybody I know around me. And this is why we're here, Josh. So welcome to the show, episode 5.
Good to be here. Very excited to chat.
Oh, man. So maybe let's start from the beginning. Who's Josh? Tell us where you're from, where you hail from, and tell us how you came to Cape Town. Were you born here?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Cape Town. My dad's from Joburg. My mom's from the UK. And yeah, bro, I'm born and raised this side. Like, love it here, love the ocean, love the mountains. I make so many jokes to people from Joburg. I'm like, your place is so flat and there's no ocean and it's dry. I'm like, no, bro. Like, Cape Town is just, born and raised here. It's my home. And I've done a bit of overseas travel here and there, but Cape Town is just, it's my home.
Wow. So where did you go to school in Cape Town?
So my primary school, I went to Candice Bay Primary School.
Nice.
That side of the world. And then when I went to high school, actually went way on the other side of the spectrum. I went to Ronald Boys High.
Wow.
I rep that school. Like, it's my pride and joy. I've got my all boys tie at home. I pull that thing out anytime there's an event. That school holds like such good memories for me. I was in the boarding house actually, so I went to a hostel. Wow. My parents moved out of Cape Town in like 2016, 2015, and I went into grade 8 in 2014. People are already calculating how young I am. So they preempted me going to boarding school in the aim that they would eventually leave Cape Town. So they don't live in Cape Town anymore. They live in a small town outside of the city, but I'm obviously still here. And bro, that was just such a special place. Like, incredible memories. I would say if people want to get an accurate representation of what goes on in boarding school, the Spud films do that very well. A lot of people think it's comedy, but literally, I promise you, the shenanigans that goes on in those films happens in boarding school.
I've never actually connected those two. No, thanks for bringing that up because you're right. Now that you've said them, like, that's exactly that.
It's true. Like, okay, we definitely didn't build like tree houses and do substances in the tree houses, but night swims and raiding dorm rooms and like it's the thing. It's like such a core fundamental memory of my life exists in the boarding school with my mates. So some of those oaks I'm still in chat with today. Like, one of my homies that in grade 8, he was in the same dorm room as me, and now he is getting married in January, and I'm part of the groomsmen. Like, wow. So
wait, you're part of the groomsmen. What happened to being the photographer? What happened there? to be the filmmaker? What happened there?
I told him, I've literally said to people that are my mates, I'm like, look, I don't want to shoot your weddings.
Man, I hear you.
I would rather attend them, be a member, be present, be there and have the experience and be there for my good people, my people that are in my community, rather than like shooting it. And I have this rule that I don't shoot weddings. I know. I don't like it. Like, I almost assisted a wedding photographer once, which was great, or a wedding filmmaker, but no, bro, I can't. The pressure,
crazy,
like,
Josh?
No.
I actually shot my first wedding this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, perhaps this is a crazy, right? When you're trying to get money for that lens, I've been trying to save up for lenses, and a very good friend of mine, so shout out to Caleb. He's also a photographer. You'll see his link here. So him and I were just chatting, and he kept saying, "King," because I just kept talking about, I need to save up money for this camera, for a lens. And you know what the lens cost, man? At the point I was trying to get the wide lens. I know I have a Sigma 14 to 24 extra wide.
Yeah.
And I looked at the Sony 12 12mm to 24. Jesus. Jesus. And here's the chat. Sometime last year, there was a guy on Marketplace who had that lens, the 12 to 24, and it was going for 25K. And things always come when you kind of like don't have the money. So it was that experience where, like, I was telling my man, I was talking to Caleb, and I was like, yo, I missed that lens. And he just said, yo, I think do weddings, so you always kind of like always have a bag of money there. So missing that lens inspired me, but nevertheless, I got the 14 to 24 Sigma, and it's been the lens I really, really love, and I'm really obsessed with the lens. And with that being said, I see on your page, guys, I'm on your page, and this is what we do here at Creative Lens, Josh. It's really unscripted. We're just having a conversation about what we do in the city. You say here photography, film, creative direction.
Yeah.
Maybe can you take us to the start of where your photography journey started?
Okay. So it's quite serendipitous, actually, because I actually have always had a fascination with cameras. Wow. Like, I know everyone says that, I've had such a fascination with cameras since a young age. Like, I know everyone says that, but like, what happened with me is that my parents had a old Nikon D3100 that we used to shoot game drives. So we had like a 55 to 300mm and then an 18 to 50mm lens, kit stuff that my dad got when he went to Orms and he bought binoculars, and there was a special to get the camera as well. And I remember he let me use it once to like photograph some game. And I remember I filled the entire SD card. Keep in mind, this was JPEG only, not RAW. And you could shoot a 32 gig SD card was like 12,000 JPEGs. So I think they were like small JPEGs. I shot the entire card full in 2 days.
Wow.
As like I don't even know how old I was, probably single digits. I don't know. And I was clicking at everything, the trees, the bird, the grass, the rock that looked a bit weird in the sun. Like, I shot everything. And I remember one year for Christmas, my parents got me a little Canon PowerShot, that little gray one that you turn on and it goes bling, bling, and like the lens extends out. So I had one of those. And I remember the day I got it, I was like photographing everything, like all my presents that I got. I was photographing a painting on our wall. I even remember taking a photo of the way the light was hitting the toilet, like the most whack stuff. And then after a while, like even on top of that, actually, I remember when BlackBerry came out. So when BlackBerry came out, you could film a video, stop, and keep filming afterwards. So you could produce your own in-camera cuts in BlackBerries when you could shoot videos with those. So me and my mates would actually make our own little films using that cut feature in the BlackBerry as to cut scenes or to use even stop motion. Like, we started making stop motion with our Legos, where we would have like the Lego piece in one spot, we'd film, stop, and then move it, film, stop, and then.
So how old are you now? I mean, at this age, how old are you now making the stop motion? What age is this?
It's before high school. I would say it's like between the ages of 8 and 11.
Wow.
So I'm like super young. Obviously, these stop motions were not by any standard great. Like, all shot from eye level.
But it's not that, Josh.
Sound effects. Like, it was hilarious. Like, I even remember we would like move the toys in a specific way and then make our own sound effects. So make like a gun sound effect.
Oh, wow.
And then stop filming, then resume afterwards, and one of the characters has fallen over, implying they've been shot. So it was like this whole thing. But I eventually didn't pay it much attention. I was just like, cool, these are just me and my mates having fun, playing around. Like, there's nothing really to this. It's really cool that we have the technology to do this. And anyway, went on with my life, and through primary school, high school, and then it's a long story. I actually wanted to do architecture.
Wow.
My academics were of a very decent stature. I got a distinction and high colors for academics, but I applied for architecture into UCT. They accepted me. My portfolio I then had to submit afterwards to prove that I could do the course was absolute dog, because and the only reason why is because they wanted me to make the portfolio during my mock exams, and I was like, well, I prize my academics more than a portfolio, so I'm going to focus on my mock exams. Big mistake. They rejected me. Come the end of matric year, I was so confident that I was going to get into UCT. I actually didn't. And I sat after my matric finals panicking, like, what am I going to do? My mom and I ended up sitting down, like, doing research on a bunch of colleges. And she's like, where do you want to go? And I was like, look, I just want to do architecture. I was that dead set on this.
Okay.
And I got into a design college called Inscape Education Group.
Wow.
And I wanted to do environmental design. So you become like an environmental advisor for like architects, making sure that their builds are, or their designs are environmentally friendly, they're sourcing sustainable materials. But in that, you also learned how to be a draftsman. So you could draw architectural plans and do that at least. And this is where photography comes in. That first year, we did a general design year. So you learn like Photoshop, Illustrator, you learn all the basic Adobe programs, and you learn a bit of design and a bit of visual communication, and you actually learn about the visual world. And we had photography as one of our modules. And we were lectured by a man called C.P.W, who is a phenomenal natural light fashion photographer, super cool guy, like came in with this beard, this long brown hair, this purple beanie, this like super creative guy. And he showed us our photography book that we had to do for the year. And he's like, guys, this is so-and-so. I want to give the name of the book because what I'm about to say realizes that I shouldn't tell you who made the book. He's like, guys, this is a photography book. Just ignore everything he says. It doesn't matter. And he like literally chucked this book on the table. He's like, I've got my own slides for you. This is actually what you need to know. And from that moment, you could understand that he had a passion for it. He knew what he was talking about. He was well glued up in the industry. And he shared such a passion for the art form. He was just literally, he'd pick up the textbook, be like, okay, guys, in this module, we're supposed to focus on this, this, and this. He closes the book, ignore this character, chucks the book out, and then says, this is what we're going to do based on what he's trying to teach you, but I'm going to teach you the right way. And it was just so crazy the way he would explain things and the way he actually ignited a passion for me in that craft. And I remember he would do feedback sessions. And so you'd produce your, like, let's say your final photo for the term or whatever, and you'd give it to him, and he'd sit down with you with a print, because we were required to print all our work for review. And he would sit with you and he would explain it to you and say what you did wrong, what you did right, what he likes, what he doesn't like. And the way he would give feedback was always so uplifting, because you'd realize like, okay, I've done some things wrong, but I've done a lot of things right, and I'm creating my own style. And then I decided, okay, I'm not going to do environmental design anymore. This is while I'm in the same college. I want to do a different course they offer called audiovisual design. So this is like animation, After Effects, visual effects. Yeah, it's amazing. You learn Premiere Pro, you learn 3ds Max. I'm like, wow, this is actually what I'm going to do. Like, I'm going to do it. And we did a second year, and it was grueling. Like, we were sitting behind computers every day, like just keyframing, doing stop motion. Keep in mind, while I'm doing this, I'm also still learning all my other subjects, which was visual communication, which is a vital part of the visual world. If you need to learn VisCom, and any designer, graphic designer, photographer needs to learn VisCom. So I'm still learning that and learning all my baseline foundations. And after my second year, I remember feeling like so miserable with my college and with work, and I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And keep in mind, this whole time while I'm studying, COVID also hit. So during my second year, COVID hit. So my first year was 2019, my second year was 2020, and COVID hit. And when I left high school, my parents were like, you have to work as a waiter to maintain your end of the finances, and we'll help you where we can. So it was a good balance, keeps you independent.
So you're a waiter?
So I waited, yes, I did. Not anymore, but I did.
Let's just piggyback. Let's pause a bit. Let's piggyback off. Because why this is important is because, sometimes we always, when you get to a place, everybody always kind of like sees, everybody likes the apple when it's in Spar, or Tops, wherever. Not Tops, I mean Pick and Pay, wherever it is. So my experience is Tops and apples, right? But everybody likes the complete apple. But there's also a process that comes with making an apple. The process being planting the seed, you got to work the land, you got to manure the land, and to sort of like get to that final spot. And this is why this is important, Having met you, I've met you really as an apple, you're this seasoned guy, and you know all this stuff. But there is also the back work that you had to do. Like you're saying, you had to you have to do something else to maintain the finances. And why this is important is a lot of people are listening, and usually to the kids or the younger guys, everybody wants now.
Yeah. Instant gratification.
Yes, everybody wants now, but people forget that you had to do the waitering. So how was that journey for you? Okay, now COVID hits, you have to work, you have to make this money. How was it for you as a creative, and how did that impact the creative side?
Yeah, so I was obviously working as a waiter during this time to kind of like pay half my res and pay half my tuition, and my parents paid the other half. And we had like this, there was obviously more technical agreements than that, which I won't get into, but that was just more or less the gist of it. And I also discovered during this time the idea, I actually came across Gary V's content, Gary Vaynerchuk, and I loved his idea of like, you can do what you want to do, you can hustle, you can make your own business, you don't have to fall in line with the system of life of go to school, go to college, get a degree, get a job. Like you can break the system and do whatever you want. And I found that so uplifting. And during COVID, how it affected the creativity side of it is it was so depressing. Like the fact that we went from lectures that were engaging where you could chat to everyone. We would have group chat sessions and brainstorm sessions. You can raise hands, you can ask questions. Like we all know as humans, we engage physically. We cannot engage over a screen. Like yes, some of my meetings these days are on Google Meets or on Zoom. Like it's great. And it has opened up a whole new world for pitching and for staying in touch from around the world. But us as humans, we engage a lot better in person. And yeah, like in all my friendships, relationships, I always say, like, if there's something we need to talk about, let's do it in person. Let's not let's go for a coffee. Let's go walk in the park and have a chat. Let's not just pick up a phone and chat for 40 minutes because we can't see each other's faces. We can't feel each other's energy. Like the human bodies give off such little cues all the time when you're talking to people.
And I love that. I just love the fact that, you're talking about how engagement, like how connection is important. And through this connection, you're able to understand better. So I definitely agree with that. Okay, cool, man. That's definitely dope. And COVID hits. What happens now?
So COVID hits, and I end up going home to my parents. And at this point, they're living outside of Cape Town, so it's a small country town. Wi-Fi is not the best. Like, obviously, I'm not it's COVID, but I'm at home, and my family, we bunkered down, and we were like, cool, we can all live at home. We don't have to all worry about rent and groceries. We're all pitching, and we all help each other. And studying just obviously became difficult because I'm not going outside. I'm not doing the one thing that I actually like doing, which is like adventuring outdoors, shooting, seeing the world, experiencing moments with mates, like going out and just living a genuine life. Now. Yeah. And also, again, this was feeding into mentality I'd learned from what I discovered online and what I'd found from other entrepreneurs and business owners like Gary Vee and likewise, because obviously that exposed me to a whole other world.
Gary Vee is something else.
Dude, I love his content. I haven't stayed on top of it these days. I watch a lot of his older stuff. Yeah. But I discovered during this time, I also discovered Sam Calder. Everyone knows Calder by this point. And I discovered Sam Calder, Bryn North, all of the big travel adventure filmmakers that travel the world and make travel films. And travel films, obviously, I discovered travel films after they became viral. Like travel films were mainly viral, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, between 2014 to like 2018. Thereafter, they begin to fade a little bit, and then COVID and no one traveled. Yeah. So I discovered this whole other world of learning about that you could do anything you want. You don't have to forego the system. And then also learned that what I love, traveling, seeing the world, creating art, is already being done and is already a possible income source, and people are doing it.
Yes,
so I was like...
It works, right?
Yeah. So I discovered all of that. And then, my second year was not a very good year. I did well. Like, my lecturers were telling me that I was like top of the class, doing whatever. Like, I love my work.
But you're not fulfilled. There's something missing.
Yeah, it's like I always believe in this idea that I read in Matthew McConaughey's book, Green Lights. It's a great book. Highly recommend anyone reads it. But it was basically the idea of don't half-ass it. Like, if you're going to do something, full-ass it. Like, do it. Don't half-ass it. Like, because that way, if you're going to commit to something, you're committing. You're not going to, like, half do it. Because then there's no point committing. So I discovered this idea, and I was like, you know what? I'm going hard on this college, but I'm unfulfilled. I'm miserable. Come December of that year, I started investing a bit more time in my craft. I started shooting a bit more. I started learning other programs.
So what camera were you using now? I mean, did you have a camera at this stage?
So like I said, my dad's old Nikon D3100.
That was still the camera?
I still have that thing. That thing's like 2009. Like that thing's ancient by this point.
It's a beast.
That thing's old, bro. That's to the point where it still goes.
So
like
then
old.
So this is home. This is COVID time.
Yeah.
This is December. So this is December of the year 2020. And where's your headspace at?
Well, the year prior, actually, at the end of 2019, this is going to make sense. I self-taught myself Premiere Pro. So I sat online, watched a bunch of tutorials, self-learning Premiere Pro. Then when we eventually come into my second year in 2020, I already actually knew the programs. Half the programs were being taught, I'd already self-taught. And that again caused me to question the institution, being like, what I'm being taught now is great. I can ask questions. I can have someone ask my questions. But all these basic things I already know. And I feel like I know enough to do this my own way.
Yeah.
But come December, and I'm already chatting to my parents about leaving. I'm like, look, I don't think I can do this. Like, this is not fun. I have this passion, this dream to do other things. I feel like I can go make it on my own. Yeah. Like, I don't know if I need this. And at this point, it wasn't just about photography. It was about, at this point, it was about photography, actually. because I actually started my Instagram in 2019 when I came across Gary Vee, and I just started posting anything and everything because I was like, if you can create a brand, you can do something.
Yeah,
and then obviously I began to niche down towards now where we're at in December 2020, where I know I don't like college. I love the idea of photography. I can make money traveling and creating art and behind the lens and doing this. Why am I now still here?
Yeah,
and come 2020, at the end of 2020, actually, I'm still rocking the same. No, come the end of 2020, I actually went and bought a Sony A7 III.
Wow.
So in 2020, at around Black Friday, Orms were running big sales. Yeah. And I remember I was like, I don't know if I want to jump on this. Like, I'd obviously by this point knew about Sony, knew about the cameras they're producing, knew about the A7 III.
So wait, that one in particular, I mean, okay, that was the hottest camera at the time, man. That was the first, really.
That A7 III is a beast, still is a beast. It still stacks up to today. Like,
yeah, it does. I mean, actually, we're using the same cameras here. Yeah. It's just FYI. Then you buy it, so you purchase the Sony A7 III in December. Where to from there? Now you have a camera. And what lens did you have?
So I actually bought in November at the Black Friday sale, and I got a kit lens, but this was quite a funny story. I was dealing with a guy called Evolt at Orms, and he made sure that one was put aside for me, that it stayed at the Black Friday special. Like, I went back and forth to try to make this happen. I was obviously pulling money from my side. I even ran it through my dad's business to get the VAT reduced and like trying everything I could to get this camera with this kit lens. And it originally had a f3.5 to f5.6 kit lens, but that lens was out of stock. So Evolt, the guy, the sales rep, was like, look, I'm going to give you the Zeiss 24-70 f4 instead of this other one. It's Zeiss. It was f4, so it is a fixed aperture. It was way better. And I was just like, this is a big win for me. And so come that point, I've got a new Sony camera. I've got a 24-70 f4 Zeiss kit lens. And yeah, I then went like really into it. I started shooting way more. I started shooting raw. I started shooting videos. I started practicing.
So what was your source for practice at the time? So you have this camera. Do you remember any one project in particular vividly? Like, what was the project that you worked on with the camera to say, wow, I'm in?
For me back then, I think it was mostly like stills, landscapes.
Okay.
I loved shooting a lot of landscapes. Like, you can see all of my older work is a lot of just like mountains and oceans and just general landscape. I would call it like not direct landscape. Like, I didn't park up with a tripod and just bonk it there and like shoot everything at f11 and then just like bang, bang. No, I like went out. I was camera in hand and I was like, ooh, that looks nice. Like, shooting anything that's like of the mountains, of light, of nature. I think a good reference point for this type of landscape photography is what Samuel Alkins does. He is a LA-based commercial photographer and he shoots a lot of film. So he'll go out into like California, Washington, and just shoot what he sees in the way that nature is playing with light. And that's what I liked doing. So I shot a lot of Lion's Head. I would hike up Table Mountain and shoot the 12 Apostle, shoot down on Signal Hill, and just kind of shoot anything. That's what really fed me.
So that's the earlier work. So now here you are with this amazing body in terms of the Sony A7 III.
Yeah.
With this with a great kit lens. Now, at what point do you then, okay, cool, you live in school, right? And this is 2021, I take it, right?
2021. Now we're into 2021, third year, final year.
Yeah, where from there? How does that go in? Do you still graduate from school or you leave school completely?
We have to get to that story.
Yeah, man. Okay, cool. So I guess now you have the lens. Okay, cool. You're getting the end of 2020, right? You're into 20. How do you move? How do those months pass with you with this camera? Are you actively looking for work? How are you starting to sort of like navigate your space at the time?
So I was really trying to get work when I was shooting on my old Nikon.
Okay.
And the way I was doing it was, I was just thinking, if I just post bangers on Instagram and tag people, I'll get hired. Like, I was just straight up like, I'm going to post bangers, tag like National Geographic and tag everyone and I'll get there. And then looking back at my work, I'm like, firstly, these are not bangers. Secondly, like,
I know, right?
You can't just tag these people and expect them to be like, we're going to hire you.
Yeah, but you learn as you go, right?
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's like, back then I thought I had it all figured out. I was like, I'm locked, I'm dialed, I know what I'm doing. That's probably might slam again, by the way.
Yes, sir.
So I was like, I'm locked, I'm dialed, I know what I'm doing. But I actually like didn't. I was just doing what I could day by day. And since I got the Sony, I felt so much more inspired to start shooting. Like I remember there was even a point where I walked around my garden one morning and just like took photos of the flowers in our garden. I loved it. And I remember editing them going, oh, these are the most banging photos of flowers anyone has ever seen. So what you edited in at the time? Like you taking this, are you like Lightroom? Lightroom Classic. I learned Lightroom through YouTube University.
Wow.
We were taught, funny enough, at my college to edit photos through Photoshop using Camera Raw and then applying filters and layers and taking that further, which obviously, like, it was good, but it took too long. Like, it took 20 minutes to process one image.
It does, because I come from the agency world, and I feel a lot of that style of editing with Photoshop is really agency for production purposes mainly. So I guess there's maybe need for that in that world.
Yeah.
But I guess in our world, really, and because many a times I've also realized the photographer usually is not the guy who retouches and really edits in production. Usually there's someone who just focuses on that. Okay, cool. So you learn in, so you're editing in Lightroom.
Yes.
You're shooting flowers in the garden. Are you making money through photography this time?
So somewhere along the line, I remember I self-taught myself Lightroom around 2020 at some point. At this point in the night with the Nikon, I'm only shooting JPEGs. So keep in mind, I'm editing JPEGs. I haven't discovered the power of RAW yet.
Oh, yeah.
And then when I got the Sony, I immediately was like, uncompressed RAW. I want the best of the best. Completely disregarding the fact that my hard drive on my laptop would kiss itself goodbye. That thing would fill up in a couple months, like easily. And I remember editing my first RAW photo and I was like, this photo looked like the way the colors are moving, the way the highlights play. I can do anything with this image. It's so flexible.
Yeah.
Coming from JPEG, where I was like, there is a massive difference. Obviously, I don't know how it is nowadays because I still shoot RAW, like, period. But because I know that some people say they like to shoot on JPEG still, which is a bit weird. Don't know why people like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, here's the chat though, because for me, okay, cool. Again, going back to the world of the style of shooting, right? In my world, JPEG sort of like works just due to the style of stuff I shoot.
Yeah.
I guess that's really dependent. But when I'm doing portraits, I always by default ensure this RAW. Whenever I've got up close and I'm shooting faces, I always definitely ensure that I'm shooting RAW. And everything else is on JPEG.
Yeah.
But just to go back to answer your question, why people shoot in JPEG, I guess it's also part of the school system of a lot of people are wanting JPEG, putting a filter, and it goes on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. Like, no one like understands there's so much more depth to this, to the
process.
Yeah, to the process.
Okay,
exactly.
so then here you are now. So when does money start coming in? Because were you at a point where you said, I'm now doing this because it's not lucrative? You know, you're still at home, you're not paying rent, you're still in a small little town.
Yeah.
When does that shift? When does the money start coming in? And when does the shift to say, yo, I need to go back to the city? But going back to the city also comes with that sort of like other side of the rent needs to be paid, you still need to buy fuel. How does that occur at the time?
Well, so obviously during 2020, remember we had like lockdown stages. So at certain stages, I was actually able to go back to Cape Town and continue working as a waiter. And I remember going back and forth in 2020. Funny enough, I'm going back and forth at this point because obviously when I bought the camera at Orms in November of 2020, I was back in Cape Town at that point.
Yeah.
But I came home for Christmas of 2020 and I went to spend it back with my family in the small town. Actually got COVID and I didn't get really sick. I just had to self-quarantine on Christmas, which was sad. But such is life. So in terms of it becoming lucrative and actually going for it, come March of 2021, I turned 21 years old and it's like I'm beginning to really doubt this whole process of staying at uni. I've done like a lot of fun shoots. I've been posting a lot on Instagram. I've been making reels. I've been going all in on this content, like trying to learn as much as I can. I had a mate of mine who got like this cool course on Premiere Pro and filmmaking. He sent that to me, so I was learning that. Wow. And I was just doing everything I could, but I realized like I had such a passion for going all in and doing this and being free out of the system that I was trapped in at uni. Not to the college's fault. Like the college was great. Like, I'm not blaming the college. didn't align anymore.
Yeah, just those life tools. You needed something else. You just needed something else.
Yeah, I needed more excitement. And eventually, I even remember this morning, I'd been dabbling with the decision for a while. I chatted to my grandmother, I chatted to my family, I chatted to my therapist, chatted to my mates. And then one morning, I was on top of the roof of my res. And I had my gown on. I remember being quite chilly. And I was writing in my journal about like how I was feeling. And I wrote down on my page, like, should I stay in college? Yes or no? And I like sat on this two questions. I was like, you can't fumble back and forth anymore. You've got to make your decision. You've got to decide what you want to do. This is your whole life ahead. And I was like, I just circled no and scratched out yes. And I was like, okay, today we take action. And literally by 8 o'clock that day, I'd sent an email to my campus director. I'd phoned my parents. I was like, guys, I'm out. I'm done. Like within 2 days, I'd gone in, I'd spoke to the campus director, told them my decision. And yeah, I essentially dropped out 6 months away from being qualified. So a lot of people, everyone's like, bro, you are so dumb. You could have stayed for 6 months. And I was like, to get a degree that I'd never used in industry, I'd never wanted to go into.
Yeah, I hear you.
What's the point? And I was like, my mental health was so bad at this point because I was so stressed and anxious about college work. I was trying to like shoot more. Keep in mind, I probably only got paid to do one shoot at this point.
Wow.
One shoot. So I hadn't made any money with the camera yet. And like rightfully so, everyone's like, bro, you crazy to do this. You haven't made a cent with this. You made like 1,000 Rand most.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, and my lecturers wished me well. They all gave me good regards. They all said, we respect your decision. If you wish to come back, we'll put you straight back into your third year and you can finish. Like everyone gave me good regards and I got a great send-off by all my lecturers and all my college mates. Like no one was foul. It was good energy.
Oh, that's amazing.
And that's why I knew I'd made the right choice. And yeah.
Okay, now you leave. Okay.
Yeah.
We drop out. We're done.
Dropped out.
Okay, that's
college.
behind us. Then we like right now, please do tell us what happens next. Now you have this camera.
Yeah.
Do you go back home? What happens?
So my rent for my res, my student accommodation was paid for the whole year up front. I paid half, my parents paid half. So that's paid. Cool. So I have somewhere to live.
Yeah.
How am I going to make money doing otherwise? I somehow had some bit of savings. I wasn't, but keep in mind at this point, I'm still technically under my parents' bankroll. Like I'm not paying my own insurance. I'm not paying my own medical aid. I'm just covering my everyday expenses like petrol and food and those things. But I'm not paying for my own insurance. I'm not paying for my own health insurance. Like for full transparency, like I'm not covering myself completely. I'm still under their shelter to some degree.
But now you have to make a decision.
But now I need to find out what's going on. I still worked as a waiter.
Yeah.
So I was working as a waiter, up my shift count from about 3 shifts a week to like 4 or 5 a week. And I was just using that money to sustain.
Yeah.
So I was working as a waiter at this point, managing to make things sustain. Now I'm like, okay, cool. Now I've got to go all in.
Yeah.
Now I've got to do a lot more shoots, post a lot more on Instagram. I was really posting quite a decent amount, but now I've got to post like almost every day. Yeah. I've got to start making reels. I've got to start, and I'm just playing at this point. I'm trying everything. I'm trying to find out what's trending. I'm trying to make content for myself. I'm trying to shoot what I enjoy. I'm literally so free that I'm doing everything.
Wow.
But I'm also maintaining my own strict rules of wake up early, go for a run. Yeah. Like look after my physical health, try my best, eat well. Look, hey, if I'm being honest, there were 3 years, those 3 years of my life, 2019, 2020, 2021, when I lived at home by myself, when I wasn't with my parents and I lived at my res, my like staple meal was scrambled eggs and potatoes.
I mean, tell me about it.
Like that's what I lived off of. Really. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it had to be done.
Yeah, like I had to eat and look, it wasn't good. And like looking, obviously now I have a much more variety in my eating. Like I eat well, also do martial arts training. So I have to eat well, but that's obviously a different story. But going in that side of things. So what happened was I actually got in a very blessed position. So I did one shoot for a musician. Her name is Kat. I shot with her. I did a studio shoot.
Okay.
Kat, yeah. So she's I don't know if she's still doing a lot of music now, but I know that she did back then. And I did a shoot for her in a studio. First time shooting in a studio.
Wow. Wait. So that's the first time she did. So
first time in studio.
Just how'd you get this gig? And when you got to the studio, did you just like figure it out when you got there?
So somewhere along the lines, either in 2019 or 2020, I shot a music video.
Okay.
With this A7 III. No, I got the A7 III November 2020. So somewhere between 2020, 2021, I don't know if I was still in college or not, but I shot a music video with a mate of mine from school. And he said, bro, I need someone to shoot this. And I see you out there. I see you grinding. I actually kind of like your stills work. My stills work were getting pretty decent traction and good recognition by my friends and my small community. Like people were recognizing that there's potential here and it could get decent. So my brain's kind of lost me now. I'm coming back. So we shot a music video and I rented the DJI RSC2 with no idea how to use a gimbal. I didn't know how to use a gimbal, but I knew how to set one up because I'd watched enough YouTube tutorials.
Yeah.
And we got lights in and we got everything. And I needed to get C stands for this because my mate said, bro, can you get 2 C stands organized? You maybe have the connections. I reached out to my second year, what was it called?
Assistant is lights, right?
Pardon?
Assistant is light, right?
Assistant is?
No, a C-stand.
A C-stand, yes. A C-stand is for lights.
For lights,
so you put lights on it.
Yeah.
So it's like a stand you can use to mount lights on. You can hang lights over it. You can use it with sound even if you wanted to mount like a mic on there.
Ah, nice.
They're pretty cool. So like a special type of stand for lights. And I think C doesn't mean combo. That's not what it's for. Yeah. But anyway.
Wow.
And I reached out to my second year lecturer who... His name is S.J. Van Sale, and people who know photography will know who S.J. Van Sale is.
His link is somewhere here, people.
Yes.
His link is somewhere here.
He is a beauty photographer, phenomenal beauty photographer. He shot some of the Miss South Africa campaign.
Wow.
Amazing guy, super cool dude. And he was my second year lecturer during 2020, but he was lecturing for a different subject, not related to photography, but great guy. And I reached out to him and I was like, look, do you know I can get C-stands? And I'm still blank at this point. I know rental houses exist, but I can't just get a rental house. We don't have money. We're all students wanting to make a fun music video. And my one mate reached out to me to say, bro, you got a camera, you got a decent camera.
So let's do that.
Graph. Let's do this. He recommends a guy called Sebastian Vocht who works at Big Time Studios. I'm sorry, Seb, if I butchered your surname.
His link is somewhere here too.
I feel like I may have butchered his surname. Anyway, and he runs a studio called Big Time Studios in Gardens.
Wow.
And he said, look, reach out to this guy. I've worked with him. He's amazing. You can get C-stands from him. So I don't know if this time if I rented them or if I managed to get them on a favor for SJ or how but I got C-stands. And I remember getting the C-stands from him and I didn't see a point on them to mount a light. Keeping in mind, I did not understand that you have to unscrew the top ball head to get access to the mount for the light.
Yes.
And I said to him, where do I mount the lights? And he goes, well, if someone's told you they want these for lights, they know what they're doing. Wow. My friend did not know what he was doing. And so anyway, I get on set. We rig up the lights. We basically hang the lights from the C-stand with tape. These panel lights, we hung them. We didn't mount them. We didn't screw them in. We just cranked that C-stand arm all the way and hung the lights off them. And the lights just slid all the way down, bonk, and just sat there. And it was a nightmare.
Oh, wow. But that's the first time, right?
First time.
It's your first time.
And keep in mind, I'm using a gimbal that I didn't know that if you just move the gimbal, it moves the camera with the gyroscope. I thought the only way to move the gimbal was with the joystick. Wow. So it was absolute nightmare. But where this comes into the studio shoot that I did with my first client is that I had so much self-belief that like, watch a bit of YouTube, go in there, how complicated can it be? Like people do this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
I can find a way to do it. And if not, like you could call it like,
you figure it out.
Blind confidence. Yes. I don't know what the term is. Or like
no, blind confidence. That's it. You just have to believe that you can do it.
And the music video looks good. It could be way better. Like I didn't understand exposure. I didn't understand color grading. I didn't understand S-Log and log and shooting in all of these professional softwares. Like, I didn't understand any of this. But it came out great and it worked. And there was a light in 1 or 2 of the shots, but it's fine because no one knows.
Oh my word. But that's always the first start, right? Yeah.
Literally, like that was.
So you shot the music video.
Yeah, so that was the music video that I shot, and this ties into the client shoot that I did in studio for the first time. So that's how I knew which studio to use because this man Seb that runs Big Time Studios is the studio that I ended up using.
Wow.
So I obviously was watching a lot of filmmaking content, a lot of photography content, and I knew about aperture, and I knew about the aperture 120D, the aperture 300D, and I knew about these lights. So much so that I bought myself the little aperture MC, those little cube lights that are like the size of the palm of your hand. And I didn't know much, but I knew enough to do this studio shoot.
Okay, yeah.
And this client that reached out to me is actually my best mate's older sister. She went to my best mate. She's like, look, I need a photographer. I need to shoot this. and she was having this discussion in like an open family situation. And my mate goes, use Josh. He's dropped out of college. He's starting photography. He's got a camera. He's doing this. Ask him. Wow. And she says, cool, I'll ask him. And I drove to their house in Camps Bay, and I sat and I had a chat with her. And I still do that to this day. Like, I treat things very professionally. Like, if I'm working with a client, like, you get your own profile on my database. I list out your deliverables, your deadlines. Like, I sit with you and I get to know you. We write down some stuff. We plan out the shoot. Like, I treat you like not only are you a subject to be photographed or whatever, you are a client, and whatever you're trying to bring to life is treated like I am an agency or production company, not just an individual that's shooting for you. I try to keep things as professional as possible, and that's just come from knowledge along the way of all the videos I've watched, all the courses I've tried. Like, I've just tried to gain as much knowledge as I could.
So you use this as your work?
As I work, so I walked into him, we had a chat, and I planned out things, and I saw what she needed. Also, and this is where my college and the things I learned there built the foundation for how I should handle these things. Visual communication, I mentioned that a lot. Like, that's where this came in. She told me who she is. She told me what she likes. She told me like what her favorite colors are, how she wants to be portrayed as, how she wants to be viewed. And from that information, I built the colors that we would use, what backdrop we would use, kind of what poses we would use. And I realized, like, I'm gonna have to do all of this to portray what she wants. It was basically just a shoot of just shoots that like of. She wanted still images to use as marketing on her Instagram, to send to clients so she could get booked for gigs, to put on her website, to basically showcase, this is who I am, this is what I do. And we went to the studio, and it's this massive studio. Like, it's not a small room, it's a big studio. The studio is made for like bigger productions. And I get a quote from the studio. I send the quote to her. She pays for the studio. I send her my rate. So I think we did a 2-hour shoot, if I'm correct. I cannot remember the exact digits. A 2-hour shoot. I think it was 50 edited images for about, I think, 1,250 Rand.
Wow.
I can't think exactly what it was. It was probably more. I don't know. Anyway, I rented an Aperture 120D. I asked the studio to be blacked out. I asked for a black curtain behind her. And I asked her to bring all her instruments in, her decks, her keyboard, her guitars, because she's a multi-instrumentalist. She uses all instruments. So I had to shoot a whole variety of instruments. So you are now shooting in a blacked out studio with a 120 watt light. So if you know your lights, like, that's not going to be enough to light your subject. And I had these little Aperture MCs, those cube lights that were set to RGB in the hopes that they would paint her in RGB, even though they are like 5 watt lights. So
how did that go?
Very well. No, I'm being dead serious. It went fantastic.
Can you share? So I think, for those, listening in, we'll definitely share some images from that shoot. Can we do that?
Yeah, like if I can find them. Like, I think on my old drive, like the first ever hard drive I bought, they're probably there.
Wow.
But yeah, so I remember I asked Seb to set up the light for me before I arrived, because I'd never set up a softbox. I'd never rigged a light on a stand.
Wow.
I'd watched enough YouTube tutorials to know more or less what to do, but I'd never actually played with the thing. But I had enough blind confidence to just go in and do this. I just want to say, just people mustn't do this. Like, don't do what I did. Like, if you're getting into the game, don't do this. You want to go onto sets, you want to go into studio, and you want to know what you're doing, because I promise you, I've had situations and I've seen situations like this, and the amount of times they go south is way more than the times it doesn't.
Yeah, so some knowledge. So I guess that's the important thing, and something having an agency quickly has taught us, and because I come from a marketing side, and that's why lighting assistants are important,
Yeah.
That's why those humans are just as important as you have carrying the camera in your hand are, because that's what brings the product out. But to your point, shout out to just that fact that do your best not to do it that way. But when push comes to shove, I hope you have plenty of YouTube hours under your belt.
Yeah, I would say to people, like, try to do your research. Try if you can. Like, don't do this. Like, I feel like this is a risk, and I am coming from this point, but I didn't hide the fact that I didn't know what I was doing completely. Like, I tried my best from her side as the client to have full faith in me. I was confident. I was cool. I was calm. And I was almost in this self-belief that, like, nothing will go wrong. And I fed that, and I manifested that the shoot would go good. And
that helps, Josh. I strongly believe that really helps, man. I always have this, you can attract positivity. And I even, it's crazy how even my personal life, even with mates, I'm big on, because I shoot at night half the time. So when I'm leaving the house, don't be like, yo, go out well, but be careful. Don't put that on me. Just say to me, have a good shoot. I can't wait to see the pictures. It will be that. And the power of belief is strong. Just going back to Gary Vee, like he's also someone who really inspires me. And leave out the negative. Speak it into existence, and it does happen. And the fact that you strongly believed, you really, really well strongly believed that nothing would happen. And guess what? Nothing did happen.
Exactly. And I remember I almost shot my entire SD card full at the time, which was a 64 gig card. So I think that was about, on RAW, I don't know exactly, close to almost 2K images.
Wow.
Because what happened was I basically just told her to play. I had come with this idea that if I just get her to play her instruments, do a thing, have fun, and I'll just shoot around her. And she did. She just played her instrument. She already had enough charisma and character to play and put on some good smiles and put her arms in the air. And I just shoot her as she was playing, just like the whole time, just firing. The images were very dark. So that's the one thing to keep in mind, is they were dark. But she wanted dark, thankfully. If she wanted bright, we'd be stuffed through. So she wanted...
Because her space of performance is generally dark anyway.
Yeah.
Which actually worked.
And at the end, I sent the images off, and I remember I culled those images for about 2 or 3 days. Like, I spent so much time with these images. I wanted to make sure the colors were perfect. I tried like my best for everything, but I also walked away from the shoot having learned so much. I understood you can't just get someone to play wildly, because they're not going to do exactly what you want them to do. Yes, it looks fantastic, but you're not going to get exactly what you want, because there's going to be movement, there's going to be motion blur, there's going to be a whole bunch.
So there's going to be a lot of. So it goes back to storyboards.
Yeah.
Those mood boards are important then, right?
Exactly. Like, you want to plan your shoot, you want to know what you want. I've since obviously worked with art directors and marketing teams that tell me exactly what they want, and we plan it out. And yes, we might want a shot of the person jumping and strumming the guitar in the air, but we can then try that same pose and correct it slowly along the way to make sure we get exactly what we want. You're not just going to film them playing the guitar because it's going to look a bit boring. You got to get specific shots and specific ideals and angles and lighting, and you got to craft your image instead of just hoping that the image makes itself.
Craft the image instead of the image making itself. Wow, that's that's dope. So this shoot goes off. Client is happy.
Yeah, so I eventually sent it off, and she was absolutely thrilled. She went on and on about how I was the best person to shoot with. I was the only photographer to bring out her real element, to bring out who she is, to let her show herself, let her light shine. She loved how I was professional, that I came to her house and I drafted up a document, I made mood boards, I did the whole process, I lit the studio, I handled all the back end. She was thrilled. And it was amazing. And she loved the work. She spammed it all online. She had an absolute blast. She left me a great review. Everything was great. Everything was fantastic.
Oh, man.
So then I go off and I continue grafting this whole thing.
So then you're back in being a waiter, right?
Yeah, okay. No, I'm still waitering. I waited. I'll tell you when I dropped out of waitering. Not dropped out. I dropped out of many things, but like left waitering. So I am now working as a waiter still. I'm still hustling. I'm doing lots of shoots. I am even shooting like my mates to put work on Instagram. I knew a couple of friends of mine. Actually, this is a cool story. A friend of mine who was waitering with me, she was waitressing actually because it was a she. She was a waitress at the same place I was. And she was also doing modeling. And she wanted to be a model. And I don't know if she was signed with the agency at this point or not. I cannot remember. But she's signed for an agency. I think she's done ads. She's done an ad for Lexus. She's done an ad for, I think, McDonald's. Like, she's doing places now in her modeling, and she's doing fantastic. She's got a very unique look. And I remember shooting with her during my time there. Like, we did a fun shoot together, and I was doing shoots like that all the time.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy how both of us like shot together all those years ago, and now we're both kind of professionals in the industry, which I thought was pretty crazy. So that's a story. But yeah, so I'm doing this during this whole period of time. I'm still shooting, I'm still learning, I'm still trying everything I can to get somewhere. And I remember I went back home to where my parents were staying. I've just revealed the town where they live. I went up there. Oaks are gonna cut that. Yeah, I went up to their town where they live. And it was because remember, even during 2021, we had the lockdown stage.
Yeah, we had it.
We still had like a certain stage where you were locked up. And if I couldn't go work at my waitering job, I wouldn't see a point in staying in Cape Town. So a lot of the lockdown came, and I remember going home, and I remember chatting to my mom and dad about how like it's going good, but like I'm not making much money, and like stuff is happening. I'm posting more. I'm still like, watching YouTube videos all the time, like trying to look at courses. And like, I'm not really doing courses really. Like it's the same course that I got sent by my mates and I finished it. So I just would start watching YouTube videos, just keep practicing,
upskilling yourself as you're
just
going.
trying what I can, And obviously I looked up to all the big creators at the time, like Peter McKinnon, Matty Apoya. Like I'm busy watching all of their content and seeing the lights they use and seeing the gear they use and thinking I can use the same thing. And that's where this blind confidence came from that I also used in shoots, because I saw them doing it. I'm like, oh, well, then I can do it. But I remember chatting to my mom and dad at the time when we were having one of those lockdowns in 21.
Yeah.
And they were like, why don't you reach out to Kat again? Like, why don't you ask her if you can shoot with her again?
So this is the model?
No. This was the musician that I did the studio shoot with that was absolutely blown away by what I did. And so why don't you reach out to her again? I was like, I don't know. Like, I have to see what happens. So I didn't end up reaching out to her. But for the whole year now, now the rest of the year goes by. We are now in, I think, around about October, September.
Yeah. This is 2022, 2021?
21.
Yeah.
So the year goes by and I'm still working as a waiter to make ends meet. I'm still shooting as much as I can with models, friends, going on hikes, shooting mountains, still shooting my nature landscape stuff, posting, trying to work on like a website, trying to, just
trying to figure it out.
Trying to figure it out. And I haven't made any significant amount of money. Then one day I get a call from this musician that I shot with. She wants to shoot a series of music videos and she needs a creative director.
There we go.
She said she loved shooting with me that one time. She said the results were amazing. She loved working with me, my creativity, my ideas, my passion, my hard work, my effort. She loved a lot of things. And she's like, I want to work with you. Long story short, I remember I sent off a quote to work with her for a month. I think it was 10 days of creative director work. I remember this is a story. Hold on. So there's like so much information and like stuff that I need to, like, I'm trying to think how I'm going to like tell this, but basically like out of the blue, she contacted me for this, and where this goes, and I'll tell you where it goes, and then I'll tell you how it started. But where it ended up was I ended up being the creative director for her for almost a year, working on her content team alongside the art director, who is an amazing art director. We did a series of 3 or 4 music videos. Wow. We shot a whole bunch of content for her social media. Yeah. It basically became a full-time job. So from the end of 21 till almost the end of 2022, I worked fully for one person and worked like a normal, like not like a job, but like I worked.
But you live in your dream now.
And now I'm there. And let me tell you, I'll tell you this. Once that contract was approved and that invoice was signed, I remember there was so many, like I played like the best music. I went onto the roof of my res. I was on the roof of my res. So I climbed the elevator shaft. I still do that stuff. It's crazy. Anyway, so I went onto the roof and you can climb on 2 low walls and you can get to the elevator shaft. It's safe. You're not going to fall off. And I remember like playing music, looking at the view going like, I've done this. Like, oh my word, like I've done this. So, but basically she said, I need a creative director to plan out this music video, to do all these things. I remember I went back to our house in Camps Bay. We planned some shoots. She told me what she wanted to do. She told me all the videos she had in mind. I was making notes. I was planning things. It was like a whole situation to get all these things planned. And I remember I sent off the quote. I don't know if I want to reveal how much the quote was, but it wasn't a ridiculous amount of money, but it was enough amount of money that I could
live for a year.
It was no. Like, basically, it was almost 3 to 4 times the amount of money I was making as a waiter per month. Probably more, probably almost 5 times.
So now at this time, do you leave waitering? I mean, because, so you get the client, you are still at res, correct?
Yes, I'm still staying at a student res. I'm still working as a waiter during this time. And I haven't upgraded my gear as well. The only 2 pieces of kit I bought besides my camera and my lens, which I got obviously prior, was 2 aperture MCs, those little cube lights. That's the only other piece of gear I have right now. And possibly a camera bag, which I got with my camera, but like that's not really gear.
Camera bag is bag.
So I remember and then I just did this work for, which was, so I drafted up, obviously when I was at my college, we learned about like mood boards and I forgot, not like a script, but like it's a pre-production document you draft up for a music video that encapsulates what it's about, any motifs, any props you're going to need, like a production style document. And I was doing all of this like back end, having meetings with her, planning the shoot, meeting with production companies. Like we were like, this went in, like you went all out. This was like big for her. Like I remember, like I felt like such an imposter. Like imposter syndrome is massive during this time because I'm like in a production house with a director and a producer, and they're talking about shooting this on a red, and like I'm there like I literally just like dropped out of college like 4 months ago, guys.
but I love what you said. Let's just pause there for a bit. You spoke about imposter syndrome.
Yes.
And just unpack that a little bit more. And because now again, like I said, you're the apple. You've got onto the other side. You've got over that. Yeah. So perhaps just shine a little bit more light on that.
So imposter syndrome, like it was weird because I wasn't qualified. I still had a lot to learn. And to be honest, looking back at that point in my life from this point where I am now, to be honest, that imposter syndrome was kind of warranted. It was okay to feel that because I didn't really know much about shooting video. I was just a photographer guy that had left college that was trying his best to make a business. And I was still, like I said, running on blind confidence and doing that to kind of make amends. I still didn't fully understand lighting. I didn't fully understand all the lights that were out there. I didn't understand like the difference between a 120 watt light and a 500 watt light. Like I didn't really like know, obviously knew 500 one's brighter, but I didn't know that 120 means the wattage of the light that it's pushing, and a 500 is the amount of wattage that light is pushing. Yeah. And how like that wattage actually changes if the light's in bicolor or RGB mode and like all this stuff. Like
I have no idea. Like I have absolutely no idea. But this is why the show is important to learn this.
Absolutely. So yeah, so I'm busy sitting in this like space, and I've got this absolute faith and trust from my client at this time, and I've got this production house, and I'm sitting there drafting up documents to give to them, like timelines and what the music video is going to be about. Like I wrote an entire music video, like a script. Like I wrote out what it was going to be like, only from the knowledge I'd learned in high school, after high school, from college, and from doing research online. I created the story of these characters, and there was depth, and there was all this, because I don't know how I did it. I read a lot of fiction growing up. I don't know if that played a part in this. I still do read to this day, so maybe that played a factor in this. I don't know what contributed to this.
It always does, because I believe it always does, because, you know, like, there's something that we as creatives that we tend to never talk about. And I think, like, Mamba and I, so Mamba is our producer, Mamba is here, he's somewhere here. So anyway, but we always talk about how you just tend to know you have it. Yeah. There's a feeling that you're just so confident that you have it, and I can't really explain it, but to your point, here you are writing the script, right? And it's just flowing and it's coming, right?
Playing music, thinking about ideas, getting lost in my thoughts. Like, I even remember before the job was booked, this client sent me her music unreleased and said, what ideas do you have in mind? What comes into your head? Close your eyes. What comes to your mind? Because she knew that I had a very visual brain. And I still do to this day. Like I literally, about a month ago, a mate of mine, I work with this musician now, even this rapper, up and coming, shout out to Chad. I love that oak. He's such a good guy. He just makes banging music. So he sent me a unreleased song on WhatsApp. He's like, bro, tell me what you're thinking. And I played it, like walked around my apartment, listened, played it again, walked around my apartment, listened, and I spat out this whole idea to him. And he's just like, bro, this is why you are who you are, bro. And he just like loved the idea. And I just wanted to, like, that same thing has happened years ago with this client that I'm working with now in the story that I'm telling. Wow. So I managed to, anyway, gave this idea. And this steam train is moving now. Yeah. I eventually have a contract signed with her, contract that I drafted up myself without ChatGPT.
Like, I know, right?
Like I drew up a contract just like on Google, looking at templates, trying to find out what to do. I'm busy phoning my sister. My one sister works nowadays, at least today. She is an art director, freelancer. She works with the big brands. She lives overseas in London. She works with like Nike. The big she's done stuff with Coca-Cola. She's done stuff with Facebook. She's like up there.
So she is the kind of like she's
already there. So
she's there.
One thing I forgot to mention actually is during this whole journey, I'm also speaking to her. Like I'm on the phone to her. I'm asking her for advice. Okay. And she obviously is trying her best to help me, like put me in touch with people and do this. But obviously, like my work is not warranting enough of the contacts that she has. Because she's been in the industry for 10 years before me. Yeah. And she's obviously her contacts like massive production companies. So anyway, I remember phoning her and asking her for help on the contract, asking her for help on the quotes, like how do I do this? What do I price? Like asking her all these questions. How do you price
it? Yeah.
So and like she did help me, and I eventually got a quote out, got the contract, and anyway, we've gotten past that point. All of that was signed and we're busy moving. And I've got gaps in my memory about how like well all of this went, but basically we are now coming towards December time.
Yeah.
November, December time. It was around November, and
so is this 2022 at the end of
still? This is 2021.
Okay, yeah.
And we are going to shoot a promotional video for her with this production company in the Atlantis Dunes. It's a big promotional video, and this is the video we're going to do before we shot the first music video. And the production company's on board. I'm doing all my back-end work as a creative director, making mood boards, having meetings, making schedules.
So this is almost like you're turning ground to be a creative director without even knowing, working with the art directors, yeah?
Literally, like I just went
into it.
And I was blind, dude. Like this was crazy, but I had enough belief and self-belief, and I had done enough like research to understand like what I would need to do. And I just loved the art form. I loved the arts. I loved the creative world. I just loved it so much. And I was like, I can do this. And I remember we were going into doing this first shoot we were going to do at the Dunes. And I remember thinking, there's so much work. I'm getting paid so well. My waitering is now not worth my time either.
So then the waitering takes a step back, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, well, I'm making good money, like decent money to live off of. I don't need to work as a waiter anymore. We're now working like such long hours because I'm busy doing meetings with production company. I'm busy drafting up documents for pre-production. I'm busy doing shoots because I'm also at this time also shooting some of her content just for her, like just normal shoots for her as well. And I'm doing all of this, and we are thinking of bringing on like a social media team, and like it's just all this stuff going on. Like this steam train is moving, this whole single operation.
Wow.
And
I mean, so then
I walked away from waitering.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was quite an emotional goodbye. Like I said goodbye to like team there that I got to know, the kitchen staff, the owners. Like,
but it's growth, eh?
It's
growth, also
man.
Just again understanding that that's growth, and growth is never a comfortable thing, right? It's always going to be uncomfortable. In your case, it's living that family. So now this is December 2021.
Around November, December 21, I'm busy walking out of the waitering space. I remember I dropped off the manager that used to work there. She's such a nice soul. She had worked there. She's worked here. I don't know if she's still working there, but she's worked there for years before me. She worked there while I was there. And I dropped her off after my last shift, and she was like emotional. And she was just like, yo, Josh, it's going to be crazy. Like, she worked there when my sister worked at this restaurant.
Wow.
Like, that's what's crazy.
So that's how long ago it was.
That's how long ago. Like, yeah, like my sister even worked at the same restaurant. So that's how the owners knew about me. That's how, like, this restaurant had ties to my family.
Wow,
and
man.
They were all like, it's so good to see you growing and going off on this dream you've been talking about for ages. And I also was emotional. And I remember driving home after I dropped her off down Seapoint Main Road at like 12 o'clock at night when we'd finished our shift. And I played Over My Dead Body by Drake from the Take Care album. And I played that song. Yo, bro.
Yo, man. Dude. So this is now you've lived. We're into 2020. So then 2022, you're shooting for this musician.
Yes.
Now, where does C.P.W come in all that?
Yo, the Creators Photowalk comes in 2023.
Wow.
And that comes from connections that I'd made along the way.
Okay.
So we can obviously fast forward to that, but I'll give you the gist.
Yeah, no, but I think let's go through 2022. So you're shooting content for the artist, right?
Yes, I'm shooting.
Are you
content.
doing any other work beyond this at the time?
Here and there, I think. I don't know. It was basically like a full-time job, like a full-time job.
Okay.
I was shooting a content, brainstorming music videos.
Yes, it was really work.
Doing this, working with the art director who also was the social media manager.
That's the kind of work we need, bro. Like we need that kind of like retainer work that locks you in for 18 months, a year out, and you just know you just graft and you're grinding on.
And what's crazy is like, and this is why I'm so blessed, is I came straight into the game doing that. Like I didn't get little bits and bobs. I had one or two bits and bob jobs, and then bang, it was a retainer.
Man,
so it was just ridiculous, and it just shows that like. Went all in, gave my heart into one thing, and it came into many things.
Yeah,
and even to be honest,
but you're attracted to Josh. I mean, I'm just the more I'm listening to you, you've said. I love the fact you've used the word blind confidence a lot of times, but it's true. It just goes back to believing in yourself. Like just really believing in yourself, believing that it can be done, and not being deterred from the goal. And it's really playing out.
Literally, and like even today, like. I do tell people the biggest secret is self-belief. I remember when I moved out of my raise in 2022, I moved out of my raise and I moved into a proper apartment building. And I remember it was either 22 or 23. I think it was 22. Anyway, I remember meeting a mate of mine that I'd known since primary school.
Yeah.
Like me and this homie had been mates since we were 9 years old. And he was standing by my window and we were having a conversation, and he was like, bro, look at you. Like, you got this whole apartment, you furnished everything yourself. Like, you're working full time, you're living the dream. You dropped out of college, you're unqualified. Like, what's the, like, tell me what's the secret
What's the secret? Yeah.
And I looked at him and I was like, I just dead in the eyes. And I was just like, bro, self-belief. I was like, that's the whole system is man. Just self-belief.
You have to, man. You know, I once read somewhere where someone says, and look, and I felt this aside, you need to believe in yourself like how Kanye believes in Kanye. I felt that. Like, I really felt that. And it's crazy, you know, Josh, we're entrepreneurs now. And this is why, like, your story really fascinates me to that point of as entrepreneurs, you can't think of yourself number two either. Number two is the first one that lost. You can't think, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, but I'll be second best. You have to believe that everything you do, like you say, the blind confidence, it is the best. And it might sound like it's arrogant, but everyone, being dead straight, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to think yourself as the best. You are the best. You can't think of yourself at number two. And that's how you just have to move. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, like, it's just that, like, I had this determined self-belief that I would get to where I want to be. I do believe in the idea of, obviously, like, manifestation, but also you back up your manifesting thoughts with actions. Exactly. Because then you facilitate positive outcomes. And I just said to my mate, I was like, bro, I have this unwavering self-belief that I'm going to get to where I want to get to. I am waking up every day. I am moving with light. I'm moving with grace. I am like, respectful to the people I meet. I put my all into things. And even today, like, the amount of heart I put into all my work with whoever clients I'm with, it shows, to the point that I think almost all the clients I work with today are recommending me to other people. And those people are reaching out, and
pure intentions, King. I love that.
It's going well, you know. And
so then now it's your mate. It's 2022. You're in your place. Wait, like, so how does that go? I mean, how does the story go from there?
Long story short, after working with this artist, this musician, this multi-instrumentalist for a while, like, we shot a lot of work for social media. We shot music videos. We were doing, like, campaigns. We were doing so much. Eventually, after a while, like, come October of that year, we did one last project together. And after that, like, we kind of both went separate ways. Not like bad blood or anything. Like, it just kind of fizzled out.
Time for a new thing. Yeah, the chapter that chapter is done at the time.
Like, I started charging more because I was getting so much better, and I was doing work for other clients. I started getting picked up to do other jobs here and there, other bits and bobs.
So jobs. You have to prioritize. You got to pay the rent in the city, right?
Yeah, yo, bro, big time. Cape Town is expensive.
Gear costs money.
Don't even talk to me about gear.
Yeah, Sony keeps taking out a new camera each month. The lenses keep getting better. And those things, they are tools that you just need to also give you an edge in terms of what you're doing.
Exactly.
Because there comes a point, like, I don't know about you, how you feel about this, because I just feel like, I was just talking to Mwamba, you know, the other day, you know, and I just kept saying to him, I think that the chat was like, yo, focus more on the skill than, because if you try and chase the new camera, and I was giving an example, I was like, I want an A9, you know, like I want the 7 R5, you know, like we all want the latest gear, but at the end of the day, it's be able to hone in your skill with what you have at hand at the time, and the tool must just enhance what you already know. What's your take on that when it comes to tools?
Well, I actually remember when I got my A7 III, my grandmother helped me get it. She gave me a little bit of money for it. And I remember phoning her and just thanking her for that and chatting to her. And the one thing I said to her, I said, it makes my life easier. It makes my job easier. And that's the ultimate pinnacle of a tool. It just makes your job easier. Like, look, I'm going to say this. I think gear matters. Like, I know
it does. No, I agree with you. It does.
Literally, like, oh, no, gear doesn't matter. Gear bloody matters. Like, it bloody well matters. And it's very important that you have the gear for the job. Like, whether it be lights that max out at 500 watts because you want to beam light through a window to light up a scene, whether it's that you need, for example, like you said, the A9 III because you need to shoot 120 frames a second.
Yeah, exactly. You need to do it.
As you were talking about earlier, the 12 to 24 mm lens so that you can get your wide angle shots. Like, gear does matter to some degrees, but gear will not make you better. Like, that's the simple case. Gear does not make you better. It exposes you to other things that you would not have been exposed to had you not used those lights or used those lenses or cameras. It exposes you to things. In that sense, it can help you grow, but you're not going to become a better creative or better artist with gear anyway. So I do think gear matters, and I'm like, I'm at the point where I'm looking to continuously invest in gear.
Yeah.
Like I invested in like some wireless microphones. Those have completely changed the game for me.
Wow.
In terms of the work I do with clients, obviously the biggest thing is ND filters for shooting video. Like that's massive.
I need to get into those. I have one. I think it's one of these lenses, ND filter. But I also, through messing around, through reading, through YouTubing, I then was like, okay, filters are a thing. Like it's just a thing, and that's important.
No, filters are like highly important, especially ND filters.
Yeah,
I've got a beautiful kit. Shout out to Nissi. I use their kit. I've got the 1 to 5 and the 5 to 9 stop ND. So I've got literally from 1 to 9 stops of lights covered from my ND filter. I've got like a black Pro Mist that I use, and it's amazing. I remember for one of my clients, I do a retainer work with them. I shoot for them 5 times a month. We do like 5 times a month, 5 times a year.
Yeah.
We do like a 12-day big shoot. And I started shooting there. I shoot a specific event. I can't lie. I won't detail what the event is, but I shoot a specific events for them that run over those 12 days. And I remember I put on the Pro Mist filter and I started shooting the work with the Pro Mist just randomly because I already shot for them for a whole year without the Pro Mist. Then one of the events, I said, I'm just going to put on the Pro Mist and see what it does. They loved the photos, and for the type of event that I was shooting, it was the only photography of that event in the world that was using a Pro Mist, and it became so unique. Like people started loving the look. We got international people reaching out to us, being like, "Guys, this looks insane." So they can make a difference on that front, but it's like in that sense, the gear matters.
And what's crazy, I think, the reason Josh is here today is I came across through my friend Tegan. So shout out to Tegan. So Tegan and I met at the OBM. No, I lied. We go to OBM a lot. We met at the DGI event. So shout out to DGI. And we just became very close friends. I was shooting it at OBM, but he's the one that put me onto a group called the Creators Photowalk. Creators Photowalk. Sorry, my bad on that. My C.P.W. So let's just jump straight into it. What is C.P.W. for the world to know what it is?
So the Creators Photowalk is it's a community of creatives. We don't want to limit it to any like specific form of creative. But basically the Creators Photowalk is a value-driven community aimed at like photographers, videographers, models, anyone in like the visual creative space. And it's an all-inclusive type group, and we want it to be very value-driven. So in the sense of it being all-inclusive, we will, even if you're shooting on your iPhone 8, and a joke a mate of mine made is that, if it's iPhone 7, can I not join then? But like, the point is, even if you're shooting on like a really old device, or you're shooting on a bloody Red or Ori Alexa, and you want to pull through, you'll be more than welcome. We run like free little events and walks, and we basically, the idea came about, and I'm one of the co-founders, but the idea was not a solely thing that I created. So I need to obviously say that up front. And basically, I have a mate of mine, Josh, who's also one of the admins and organizers of the Photowalk. I know it's quite funny that there's 2 Joshes on the group.
I know, right?
But him and I were planning a creative community that we wanted to make, because we were talking about how the creative community sometimes in Cape Town can be a bit snobbish. And it can be a bit cliquey, and it can be non-inclusive, and people have their cliques, and it's this and it's that, and it's not pleasant. We wanted to create something that's all-inclusive, that does missions together, that goes out and hikes mountains, that goes and shoots really cool stuff. We wanted to build a community and almost like a business and a brand out of this. So him and I met, and we decided to call this the Cape Town Shooters. And we built Notion databases on this. We were planning a Discord. We were going to build this thing. We were going to blast it on socials. We were going to do this. And obviously it was very difficult because both of us are freelancing and trying to make money and doing other things. And it got quite difficult. When out of nowhere, a friend of mine, Keegan, who was the original guy who came up with the idea of this group, but also the group has kind of morphed into this new idea that took all of the co-founders' ideas together. He reached out to me and said, look, bro, I know you and Josh are building something called the Cape Town Shooters. I've got this idea with another mate of mine called Hendrik. Hendrik's also an admin and organizer of the Photowalk. And we want to come together and chat about building a community called the Creators Photowalk, or the C.P.W, as we guys know it now. And we were all like, hell yeah, let's do it. We built a WhatsApp group. We all met. We chatted about this. Josh and I came with our ideas of the Cape Town Shooters. Keegan and Hendrik came with their ideas of the Creators Photowalk. And Keegan basically said the main reason he built the Creators Photowalk is because during COVID and during all of that, the creative community became so dispersed and almost went quiet.
Oh, yeah.
No one was active. No one was doing walks. No
all
one was out
inside,
shooting. No one was meeting people. And he wanted to do something to create this again. And Josh and I were obviously talking about building the Cape Town Shooters, which was a big community of adventurers going out, shooting, meeting people, the exact same ideas and the ideals.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's basically, it basically came about because four mates had an idea and were like, let's just do this thing. And obviously now since then, it has morphed into this massive community where we've got like 600 followers on Instagram, which is small, but I mean, for a community, we average turn up between 25 to 80 people per turn up, which is big. And we have like a WhatsApp group.
But I love the WhatsApp group. And I think that's for me, is where the power is, King, because it's the same group that shares ideas.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same group where when I'm looking from a business perspective, when I'm looking for shooters, you know, recently Molly and I worked together on a project for my agency with a very big client, Refinery Junior. So shout out to Refinery, the team at Pepco and Refinery Junior. You know, they put us some good work, and she just bodied that. She just did so well at that shoot. But that's the power of the group, King. And I just also want to give you your flowers, dog, to say, hey, thank you very much, Josh. You know, Josh times 2, you know, Hendrik, you know, and Keegan. You know, shout out to you guys, because that is something that is super special for us to have, and we need such elements in the city. And this is honestly the key reason, to be honest with you. I just felt so connected to what you guys are doing, and I really feel like it's something that you guys need to do. Where do you see C.P.W.?
Where do you mean, like where I see it going?
Where do you see it in the next year or so? I mean, what's the vision for it beyond the future of the group?
Well, what I would say is Molly's also part of the admin team and the organizers at the moment. So you can also give her a shout out, give her flowers.
Shout out to Molly.
She's jumped on after the first photo walk, and she's been a part of like helping manage the Instagram and socials and a model group and jumping on board. So she's been amazing on that front as well, helping us out. But yeah, like in terms of where I see it going, bro, it's interesting.
I think for me, just going back to C.P.W. and the people I've met, I also have met Taku, you know, who was doing a book. And funny enough, I'm working on a photo book.
Oh, lovely.
And he's really helping me out with that. I mean, he even told me about, just go into Canva and make a book and you can actually print it out from there. I was like blown. But it's just the power of the group, and the power that the group actually can do. So just back to the group, you know, I think for me it's just those things, and it's the humans I've met and the people I've met in the group have been very phenomenal. So just to go back to you and just tell us a little bit more, where do you see this group in the next few years? I know it might be hard to look at now, but what's your vision for it?
Well, like the thing is, the Creators Photowalk was just something that came about just like from four mates wanting to have a community of creatives, wanting to go on missions, wanting to meet new people, wanting to shoot again, wanting to have fun. Like the idea is just very exciting.
Yeah.
And since our first walk, it's been amazing. We've collaborated with the studios. We've collaborated with nightclubs and shot in their venues, which has just been insane. We collaborated with Fitch and Leeds. Which is a big drinks company. We are planning to collaborate with a lighting company. We've had camera brands even show interest. We've had lens companies show interest because people are seeing the grassroots level work we're doing with a community on the ground here in Cape Town, and it's been insane. Like, to be honest with you, we take it one walk at a time.
Yeah. Like, oh wow, one walk at a time.
we've got an event tomorrow which we are running, but that was obviously a ticketed event, which is, again, people reached out to us and said, would you like to bring your community here? And we're like, okay, cool. So this is the first ever ticketed event we've done, but keep in mind it is still free. We're not charging.
The goal I think Molly sent me a ticket actually.
Yes. So you got a ticket. We actually chatted about that this morning on the admin group. We're a very active admin group. We are chatting, and funny enough, we had a member leave the community group. I mean, Marlon left the community group. You can't bleep his name if he doesn't want to get mentioned, but he left the group, and we saw that he left, and he's been a core member of the group, and he's always at our walks, and he's always engaging, and the admins are aware of this. A lot of people don't think we know what's going on.
It's crazy. We
are so aware of what goes on, and we even popped him a private message to say, like, what's up? Why did you leave? Are you okay? Was this an issue? What happened? Like, just to try and find out how we can better the community. and personal reasons he removed himself, but it's literally nothing major. He's okay. He's fine. He's definitely going to still join the walks. But it was just, it's just been like, it's grown into something bigger than I think even we can imagine at the point, and it's doing so well. And like, we're going to keep on doing walks, having events, and we just want to keep riding it out. We want to start doing workshops. We want to start collaborating with brands in Cape Town, camera brands, camera stores. We want to just start collaborating with everyone and just give back to the community, because ultimately this whole idea is just passion. It's literally a passion project. We don't make a cent from it. It's literally just fun. And I think the idea that we don't make a cent from it is showcased in the sense that it's always free. You can just pull through with your mates. Like literally, like it's just meant to be a fun environment for people to meet other creatives, to share their passion with other people, to create. If some people that come through, like they work 9-to-5 jobs, they don't have the time to go do shoots, they don't have time to get in the studio and try out lights and stuff. So we want them to come and do that at our walks, you know.
That's important.
I mean, look, maybe at some point it becomes the point of becoming an agency. And you can utilize the community to not like rent out, but like get people work and get people to go out into the industry, and maybe we can build it to that level, and that would be amazing. But at the moment, it's still like we're just kind of riding the wave, and we're just having fun. Sure, we've got ideas. We know what the values are about the community. We know what we stand for. We know what we don't stand for. We know how, like, we've had some issues with members in the community. We've had to deal with some spam bots here and there. We've had to deal with
just the general, I mean, the general shenanigans that go on with having a brand online, I guess. So
literally, bro.
Oh, man. So then tell me, what's your favorite camera? What you shooting on right now? I mean, what camera are you like, that's your go-to camera and lens right now?
Right now, the camera that's in my camera bag right now, that's going to end up on location later today because I'm going for a shoot, is the Sony a7 IV. Love that baby. I upgraded to that from the a7 III last year. When did I upgrade to that from the a7 III? I think it was...
Was it last year?
Yeah, it was last year sometime, yes.
I met you with it at one of the walks, actually.
Yeah, I think I had the a7 IV by that point.
Yeah, you had one, actually.
But yeah, that camera I actually bought when I got a big job to shoot an overseas commercial for a German company. And I was like, I need to upgrade my gear. I don't know how else I'm going to shoot this. Now's the time. Bang. Took the investment they paid out because they paid 50% up front. Took that money, bought the camera. Anyway, but yeah, so that's what I'm shooting on now. My go-to lens that I'm shooting this shooting this project with later today is a mixture of two lenses. So it's the new Sigma 28-105 f2.8, nice. And then also the Sigma 24-70 f2.8. Shout out to Sigma, by the way. I'm one of their ambassadors.
Yes. So no, so pause with that. So tell us about the Sigma. Just been an ambassador for Sigma. How's that going? So shout out to Sigma, man.
Shout out, I love their kits. Also shout out to Sony. I mean, they make such great cameras, and I mean, Sigma are making lenses for the Sony mount, and Sony have opened up their mount to Sigma, and it's just been great because ultimately the people that benefit from cameras having an open mount where you can have native first-party lenses like the G Master and third-party lenses like Sigma is the people that benefit are the consumers.
So how's the relationship been with the team and Sigma? And just unpack that for us a bit, and just what are some of the advantages of just being part of this community?
Well, Sigma, I actually, for that relationship was built because since I bought my Sigma lens, I've been tagging them in everything I'm posting and just basically sending them my work and making sure that I'm on their radar. More recently, their head of marketing, it's the Sigma South Africa head of marketing, reached out to me. He's like, look, we love your content. Keep producing it. Keep sharing it with us. And then eventually I made a review of the Sigma 24-70 f2.8, reviewing that lens after using that lens for like 2 years. They loved the review. They loved my style. They loved that I keep shooting them. They loved that I rep the brand. And they ended up like, after already chatting to them for, of course, several months, I made that video. And then they said, look, I think now you've obviously chatted to us a lot. You've been showing a love for the brand. You've been pushing us. You've been pushing your work through us as a brand. We'd love to bring you onto our possible ambassadorship program. So I am now on their program. I can't disclose like too much. I don't know how much I'm allowed to, but basically they brought me on, and I basically, it's been amazing, if I'm being honest.
Man,
it's been so great.
Dope,
like
man.
They want to get onto the grassroots level with the community. So that's why I'm possibly hoping to bring them onto the photo walk and have them shop for the community. I'm hoping to keep pushing them as a brand because I'm loving what they're doing. It really is such an amazing thing. I've got direct line with the guys, the distributors here in South Africa, and I just basically have been so blessed, and a big shout out to them because they've been amazing. I've been reaching out to them and saying like, look, anything you need done for Black Friday, any new releases you need covered. Because obviously this ambassadorship is like a two-way thing. Like, yes, they are pushing me as a creator and providing me with gear. I'm also giving back to them by sharing work and content and promoting them as a brand. And it becomes a two-way agreement. Like, it's not just a one-way thing. Like, that's what people must understand, is like, it's not just that they just going to give you gear and make you look cool. It's like, you've now got to give back to them and make their gear look cool, push them as a brand, push their ideals, because they clearly want to partner you because they see something within you and within your work.
Man, that's dope, man. That's super amazing, man, because I just love that work, man. And where does Josh see himself in the next few years from now?
So it's actually like, it's been a question I've actually been thinking about a lot recently. I've been going through like a lot of change and I'm trying to like understand where it is that I want to go. But I undoubtedly, so one thing that I'm building at the moment is trying to build my content to a level that I can generate income from my own content rather than working through clients. So whether that be selling digital products, whether it be like wallpaper packs, prints, LUTs, presets, moving over to courses, whatever it may be, and doing that. But also I have a big love for travel. I want to continue to see the world. I want to continue to work for clients and brands overseas. I want to elevate my creative skill set. I do see myself in a couple of years still having Cape Town, South Africa as a home, but spending a majority of my months overseas. So whether that be, you know, traveling through Europe, going to Iceland, there's many places overseas I want to see. So, and I want to photograph those places.
Wow,
like, I don't just want to see them. I want to create art around them, whether it be
films
or it be stills. Oh, I'm so excited, bro. Like, it's going to be insane. I mean, I already did Italy this year, which was ridiculous.
How was that?
Oh, bro.
What camera did you have?
I had my A7 IV with me. And I had only one lens at the time, the 24-70 from Sigma. I had a film camera.
Yeah, that's dope.
Spare batteries. It was insane, man. I hiked the Dolomites, which is part of the Alps, which was just ridiculous.
Wow.
No, man, the places overseas you'll see are just...
there's images on Instagram. We're going to post some of the images.
I still need to get to those edits.
I know. Edited. Yeah. Wow, man. So Josh, in closing, man, what would you like to share in closing?
I think I do see a lot of up and coming and like new creatives. Like I see a lot of people that are new in the game, people that are established but not fully established or whatever. And I'm not like any pinnacle person. I'm not like a guru. I'm not like fully up there. I'm literally boots on the ground like everyone else. But the biggest thing is like, you've just got to focus on your day-to-day process. Like, you need to have your goals, like, yes, where you want to go, what you want to be, what you want to see. Like, you need to have all of those things down, but you really just need to bite-sized chunk your tasks and focus day to day on building what you want to build. Like, I'm at the point now where I'm very blessed to work with a lot of consistent clients. People love working with me. I get great feedback. I am obviously an ambassador for Sigma, love their products, love working with them. Like, I'm on that position now. I've got some travel lined up, and it's ridiculous like where I've become. But I've also known that I only got here because there was, as we've mentioned, the unwavering self-belief, the idea to focus on your day-to-day, to shop for yourself, to push yourself. So
blind confidence.
Like
blind
confidence. Yeah. Like, I don't even know if that's a real phrase, but anyway, and I would say that when you're working with clients, just one thing I've always tried to do is I take the client project a little bit as my own and try to push it as far as I can, because then I'm going to put a lot more heart into it, a lot more passion into it. And then they're going to love it. You're going to love it. Yes, there's going to be changes and tweaks, and they're going to want to make it their own, but try your best to just deliver your best product and work with brands and clients that you share visions with, and you'll make so much better work that will just keep attracting and attracting and attracting. I've said no to many gigs. Like, I've said no to things that don't align with me. And sure, we need the money, but I've also made you know what, if I say no to this, something better will come next week.
That's the belief.
And on the monetary side of things, it's like, literally yesterday morning, I was going, "You okay? Do I have enough money? Am I going to be able to get to the point I need to be? Am I going to get to the right amount of savings by the end of the year?" And I'm obviously running numbers and treating it like a business. Yeah. And that same day, I got 2 phone calls and 1 WhatsApp message for future work. And I was just like, in the space of an hour, everything can change.
Wow,
it's like this work when I told you, when this multi-instrumentalist, this musician, this artist contacted me and wanted to sign me on for this. This whole journey was started from that, and it was 1 phone call.
Wow, man.
It's 1 phone call.
It's one phone call away.
It's 1 phone call. It's 1 email. Just keep pushing, sharing your work, pushing yourself out there, continue to create, just be a good person, as you said, pure intentions.
And you move it from there.
And just keep on moving, and you'll keep being blessed.
Oh wow, man. Josh, this has been so exciting, and it's unscripted, and we just go with vibes. Everything is just pure intentions and vibes. Wow, that's been an amazing show. Thank you for being here, Josh.
Of course, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for showing interest. I appreciate it.
Man, it's been so great. So in closing, my name is Uncle Dice, aka Malume, out of Cape Town. This was and is episode 5 with Josh, Sigma Ambassador, one of the founders of the C.P.W, the
Creators Photowalk.
The Creative Photowalk. And he's one of the co-founders of 4 beautiful humans who came together and were able to put together this cool idea. Shout out to Molly for being part of the process too. And shout out to everybody in every other group that we're not aware of. If you know any groups, please share them in the body of the work here, in the comment section. And Josh, I take it anyone can join the group, right?
Yes.
So we'll put a special link to the group. We'll put one of those WhatsApp, what's it called? The scans, the QR code, the WhatsApp QR code.
I would say refer people first to the Instagram.
Yeah.
We've recently just had a lot of spam bots join our groups, and to protect the privacy of our community members, we just had to delete those. But if you go on the Instagram, all the links are there.
So yes,
it's so open.
That's it. So we'll put up the Instagram page link here, and please go on the page, and so don't forget to subscribe to the channel, Creative Lens. And that's all from me, Uncle Dice, episode 5 with Josh. Peace, we out.